everybody. This is Dear Mama Sal, and we are live on a Sunday afternoon, which means it's time for us to talk about coping with stress. And today, the stress that I want to talk to you about is coping with fear and the stress of being in a level of fear. And I'm pretty sure that everybody has been there, and if you haven't, lucky you. I think it's a bit like back problems. You've either done it or you're about to do it. So here is the thing. We all live with certain amounts of fear in our lives. And I wanted to just give you some examples of some of the stuff that's been going through my life. For those of you who don't know, Dear Mama Sal, it's not just me, it's a group of us who get together 3 times a week. Well, actually, during the summer months, we just do two. But we get together to hold each other's hands as we go through life. And along the way, we keep learning as much as we possibly can. So, our whole issue today is about dealing with fear. And I wanted to sort of think about, some of the best help I ever got about dealing with fear was from Susan Jeffers and her book, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. So I'm going to be quoting from her and various other people as we talk about this today. But before we start, just a quick heads up. Happy birthday for Doug on the 25th. It was also the birthday of Dear Mama Sal. We celebrated 10 years on September the 25th. And also, we are pleased to announce that we have now launched the shop. That's dearmamasal.com/shop. And we have all sorts of goodies up there already. So I'm very excited about that. It's been a lot of work and a lot of money, but it's up. And hopefully you guys will enjoy it. It was Beth's birthday yesterday. And so happy birthday to Beth for yesterday. It's my birthday on Wednesday, I think. And Katie, for those of you who remember Katie in Texas, her birthday on the 31st. So those are our birthdays. Hi to Jody. Jody is our admin, and she looks after us. If we have missed your birthday and you are a regular viewer, either in the chat or if if you're regular but don't join in the chat, I still consider you to be a regular viewer. So please let me know if we missed your birthday so we can add it to our database. The other thing is that if you watch it on the replay regularly, feel free to let me have your birthday, all right? I thoughts and prayers for anybody that you know that might need them. I'm not aware of anybody at the moment that I can remember, and I'm certain Jody will correct me. But, if you've got anybody in your life that you need thoughts and prayers for, please let me know so that we can put those out for you. Our discussion today is about fear. And it's been a strange week for me. It's been a really great week in lots of ways, but it's also been a fearful week in lots of ways. So on the good side, I celebrated, as you heard, at 10 years here on YouTube. And that is sort of just amazing to me that we managed to do that. And yet I've had other issues that I need to deal with health-wise. Some of you know that starting tomorrow, I need to go back onto my anti-cancer drug. And for those of you who don't know that story, I was on an anti-cancer drug, but it really hit me so hard, particularly in the areas of fatigue and mind fog, that they actually recommended that I come off it. So I did. And I've been off it for a month now, and I've been amazed how much creativity I got back and how much energy I got back. I'm still not back to full speed, but I've certainly got a lot more than I had a month ago. So you can probably imagine I have some level of fear about starting the new drug. Will it have the same effect? And the answer is, who knows, until I try it. So I've got to feel the fear and take it anyway. The alternative is not to take it and run the risk, however small, to run the risk of the cancer coming back. So that is, I think I'll try the drug first before I decide not to take it. And apparently there is a third option. So, it's just like, okay, fine. Let me see. Other than stopping it, there is a third option, all right? So I thought maybe some of you have got something in your life that you are procrastinating about or fearful about. And if so, then as I go through my story here, you know, keep yours in mind so that you can sort of relate to all of this. Um, for me, whenever I have to do something really difficult, I try to take a really deep breath and remember what Susan Jeffers said, other than feel the fear and do it anyway. And she said there are basically 5 parts to fear, 5 rules to it. And this is, I'm just getting it up bigger so I can read it. Come on, come on. You can do this. Okay, apparently not. Um, there we go. The fear will never, number one, the fear will never go away as long as I continue to grow. Do you all agree? Yeah, as long as you are growing, you are going to be facing more things in your life that make you fearful. If you're standing still and doing nothing, then all you have to fear is stagnation. All right. The second one is the only way to get rid of fear, the fear of doing something, is to get out and go do it. Okay? So the only way you get rid of the fear is overcome it, right? The only way to feel better about myself is to go out and do it. So I haven't got it nagging on me all the time. 4, not only am I going to experience fear whenever I'm in unfamiliar territory, but so is everybody else. Yeah, you're not a wuss because you feel fear. All right? We all feel it. I don't care how smart you are, how stupid you are, how gorgeous you are, how ugly you are. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. We all feel the fear. All right? So pushing through fear is less frightening than living with the underlying fear that comes from the feeling of helplessness. And I want to tell you, I know that feeling. And that she ended those 5 by saying, I'll handle it. So the trick is to go, yes, I feel the fear, but I'm going to do it anyway. And yes, there could be repercussions to this, but I will handle it. So hopefully that helps some of you get the idea of just not doing the things that you fear, doesn't get rid of the fear. So hopefully some of you have got a little bit more courage just hearing that. So I know that starting tomorrow, the brain fog and the fatigue could come back in a hurry. But then on the other hand, it might not. All right. So what I do know is this time I'm not going to wait 6 months to tell them about it. This time they've actually booked me to go back in 3 months to find out how I'm coping with it. And because last time, quite honestly, I should have gone after 3 months to talk to them about it. But because I didn't want to complain, because that's not who I am, and I just kept hoping that it would get better. Yeah, that was a good story, wasn't it? So this time they're not waiting for that to happen. They're going to check up on me in 3 months. I will go back and discuss it with them. And then, as some of you know, I've got this whole issue about my driveway and my property rights and everything else. And I've decided I've had enough of not doing something about that. And because who knows when I may need to sell the property, the house. And I don't want to have that issue hanging over me. So I've decided the reason that I procrastinated about it. Obviously, I had some other things come up like cancer. So I've forgiven myself for waiting this long. But the other thing is, of course, that there is a slight fear of what will they do in retaliation. And I have spoken to enough people now about it that I'm pretty clear that if anybody is going to get retaliated on, it's not going to be me. So hopefully, and if it happens, I'll handle it, right? So, but I don't want to get into the stage where I suddenly need to sell the place and this issue is not fixed. And I can imagine that some of you can see where I'm coming from. I've done that again where I've hit the wrong button and that nukes my program. Hold on a second, people. That's not what I want. um, so it's scary to me, but the trick is not to be overwhelmed by it, but to do it anyway. All right. And that is the whole thing that I've decided I'm going to start that process. So scary stuff. And the other thing I realized by talking to other people about it was I don't want to deal with it. I really don't want to deal with it. And what I've decided is to hand it over to my lawyer and say, deal with it. And I don't want to deal with them, anymore. So therefore, if they want me to do anything, let them do it through you. Do you get what I'm saying? That'll keep them quiet. Let them do it through my lawyer. Because that'll stop the petty stuff. That'll make sure I get proper warning. That'll make sure that everything is slightly different. So, from Fear the Feel and Do It Anyway, it says we often think, I'll do it when I'm not so afraid. But in reality, it works the other way around. The doing it comes before the fear goes away. The only way to get rid of fear is to doing something, is to go out and do it. So I know that some of you, like Jody, for example, deal with fear every day because of illness. And yet every day you are doing so many things to overcome that fear. It's always going to be there because, the sort of things that you are fearful of are, what if this kills me? Well, we're all dying. And there's nothing to say that I will not die before any of you guys or vice versa, right? Because we don't know. It could be tomorrow. And we don't know that, which is why we have to live every day. Anyway, so then I did another thing that scared me stupid. Well, not far to go for me. But I was on my way out to go and have dinner with Yvonne and Wade because it was my birthday week and have poutine. We'll talk about that. And I was busy in the shower washing my hair and I leant down and I saw that my emergency necklace was still around my neck. And it's not waterproof. How many of you are going, oh no, so. So here's what I did. I immediately got out of the shower and I took it off and I put it in absorbent paper to get any moisture that I could off it. And then I did the trick that we do with cell phones and stuff is I immediately then took it to the kitchen, took out about a cup of rice and stuck it in there. And it stayed in there for quite a few hours. And the question is it still working? And the answer is maybe. I think it is. What I said to Yvonne and Wade was, I have a feeling, although they say not to take it off, I mean, not to get it wet. I said, everything in my gut tells me they do make it for the average bozer. They do know that somebody's going to walk into a shower accidentally with it on. So it must have some level of waterproofing. It just means don't go swimming with it, don't lie in the bath for an hour with it, but I think, because why? It has to be capable of taking the odd, rain shower or whatever when, you'll get caught in the rain. And so I have a feeling it's not too bad. Hi there, Jenny. Jenny's saying, when I go out to hike, there is a cliff beside me, then I fear because I might be in danger. Yes. And that is a healthy fear. You see, fear is not unhealthy. Fear is what protects you. So you can imagine that I had fear that I'd ruined it. And my first thought was, how stupid was I? And I thought about the same stupid as everybody else, I would think. And how many of you agree with me that the chances that we all would make that mistake at least once is pretty high? Therefore, they must guard against it. However, what I will do is warn the people um, that I'm going to do a test again because of what I did, and then do the test again. And there's a special thing I can do that tests it to make sure it's working, and I'll do that tomorrow. So I went to have dinner. I've already discussed some of that, Jenny, and I'm continuing to, but thank you for asking me. Um, I went to go and have dinner um, with Wade and Yvonne, and it was such fun. It was worth waiting for the poutine. Some of you know I've been waiting since November was when I started talking about I want poutine. When I came out of the hysterectomy, mastectomy, when I came out of the mastectomy, that was the one thing I wanted was poutine, and nobody was going to give it to me. And so I've been, for some reason, I never did have it until yesterday, and it was so good. And I had apple pie, an apple crumble thing to follow. And the charming server said to me, "Would you like it a la mode or with whipped cream?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "Which?" And I said, "Both. It's my birthday." Let me live. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. I obviously won't be taking my blood sugar until tomorrow. But what I love about going out to dinner and meeting up with people who know you really well is I get to talk about a lot of challenges that I've got going on and hear their ideas on them. And one of the things that I said was, um, that I was a bit concerned how much money I had spent on getting all the stuff together for doing the soaps and everything. And Yvonne, who is also my bookkeeper, Yvonne said to me, you need to stop worrying about how much money you spent. You could have gone on a cruise and spent way more money. And you would have been perfectly entitled to go on a cruise. You haven't had a holiday in goodness knows how many years. And, she said, you got to realize that, what you actually invest in is your mental health. And I thought, that's true. That's true. The reason that I love doing these experiments, it keeps my mind working, and it keeps my mind active and solving problems, which is good for my mind, right? And she said, it's a lot cheaper than having to deal with um, depression or something. And yeah, Jody's saying wise words, and I would agree with you. I don't know who said this, but it said that remembering that the underlying our fears is a lack of trust of ourselves. Can you see that? That when we fear something, it means we don't trust ourselves to be able to cope with it. So that's the thing. You need to keep saying to yourself, I'll handle this. I'll cope with this. I can do this. I don't know how it's going to turn out, but however it turns out, I can deal with this. And I thought that was really such a good point that Yvonne made. If I'd gone on vacation, I would have spent a whole lot more. True. So stop worrying about it. And how much problem solving have we done? And I wanted to say that I think at last I have the packaging solved for the Bloom. For those of you who don't know, Bloom is one of my soaps. And it's this one, right? It's this one. And I wanted packaging on its own because, it's not going to always go out in a group. And I originally hoped they would fit in here, but they don't. They're just a little bit too big. But they do fit very prettily inside one of these. So I don't know about you, but that to me is like and I will obviously pack it with more shred, if it goes in the mail, because we want it to be pretty solid so that it doesn't move around like that. So, but I think that is a good way to package it. And I did the test. This does fit inside one of my boxes that I already have. So I didn't have to buy even more boxes. Phew. I now have the right box for the dome. Okay. And as you know, I originally had my Christmas things in these sort of containers. But then we realized that they really look pretty, in the dome. But I have to think about the fact that they're traveling. And what I realized was that, even in a store, they're going to get moved around and they're going to fall over, like the tree just fell over. Now, this won't fall over because the church, the chapel, is as tall as the dome. So I've been doing a bit of thinking about that. But the thing I wanted to tell you is the good news is that I now have, the right box for the dome. That's very important. So here's what I've been thinking. And that is, if I put one of the risers, and this is one of the risers from the Christmas Village, but if I put one of the risers in, I could then attach, like the tree to a toothpick. Okay, which would stabilize it. Okay, and now it's not going to fall over. And I think, not 100% sure, because I haven't tried it yet, but what if I also, okay, and this is how I solve problems. This is like my mind gives me an answer and then I see whether it works. All right, so now what I've done is I've put 2 more toothpicks in, over which I can put the chapel. Okay, and now if I get the angle right, which I will, okay, I believe that that's going to keep it pretty solid. Or if necessary, I could, put them at the back. Maybe put 3 in, because 3 normally is more stable than 2. So do you agree that that now is much more stable? A bit more time, again, but if it works, it's going to be worth it. As opposed to, if here, you just got to pick it up and it falls over. So we know that's not going to work. Wade came up with a brilliant idea, I think, and I thought I'd wait until today to test it. Wade said, really loved the dome, and he said, why don't you turn it into a snow globe? I said, that's clever. The question is, would turning it into a snow globe hide the beauty of the product? So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do a test. Now, here's my fear. If I do this test, I could ruin this dome. I've got a lot more. And if we don't test it, we will never know. So let's get all what we need. I've got some glue here, some multi-purpose spray adhesive, and I got some bicarb. Why bicarb and not sugar? Because, crawly things don't like bicarb. So I'm not going to be attracting things. So I'm going to spray some glue in there. And then, not too much, sprinkle some bicarb in there. And the question is, do you like it better with the slight snow on it. Wait. Or, okay, here we go. Can I lift them both up? Okay, there we go. So do you like it better with a little bit of snow on the top or clear? Boom, 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 boom. So if you're watching on the replay, remember to leave comments below so I know what you think. So I think actually it does work, especially when the product is lower. Maybe not so much with the chapel, but definitely it wouldn't mess. Hang on. Just have to change them over. Okay. These are not easy to pick up with arthritis, people. Okay, there we go. So you see what I mean about when the product is a bit lower. Yeah, I agree. They both look good. So, and then there's part of me that goes, wait 1 minute. Wait 1 minute. The question would be, does it look even better? Now I've got some silver. So now it's got a slight silvery touch to it. So, and it looks more like snow. Okay, so do you see it looks more like snow? I think I like this one. Now, the way I look at it is, this is not about wasting domes. This is about, once I find out what looks good, I don't have to waste another dome. All right. And I'm prepared to waste a couple just to find out what looks best. Why? Because whatever looks best will help the product. So that definitely works. Now, the experiment that I'm going to be doing this week, another scary thing, is, you know, I've got these mini shampoo bars like this. At the moment, I've just got a little rose on top of it like that. But what I'm going to do, and it's just hanging in there on top like that, right? It's not connected yet. But what I decided is this week, I'm going to actually make them into a cupcake. All right, so it'll be like that, but I'll be using different nozzles. You know those Russian nozzles that I've got? Where are they? Okay, so these, I'm going to be doing that experiment. But part of me said, yeah, I know, Jody, that you've been waiting for me to do that. But the other reason I want to use them is because I can actually pipe sort of mousse soap into its own cupcake. So it would be a bit like the Bloom, but just like its own little cupcake. So yeah, it would look sort of like that. And now that I've got the perfect container, I can actually pipe one. Now, what Wade said is, Jody says, I want to come over and play. Yeah. Well, that's what Wade said. And he said, do you actually record these things when you do these experiments? And I said, well, no, I haven't been doing it. He said, I am certain your viewers would love to see how you do it. And what he said was, he said, I'm pretty sure, just in case somebody doesn't know, hang on. He said, I'm pretty sure that your viewers would love to know how you create one of these. Coconut. And I said, but it takes so long. And he said, yeah, but you could record it like you used to and then edit it and put it together. So if any of you would like to see me do one of these, let me know. And the reason I can't do it live is because it's 6 different layers, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different layers. So you can understand that would take an awful long time because we got to keep waiting for the soap to harden up before we can put the next layer on. But I could do it and record it and then edit it through if any of you would like to see that. So again, if you're watching on the replay or if you want to see that done, let me know. Obviously, if there isn't any interest in it, I won't do it. So that is good. Now, the other thing I found packaging-wise is that this little box that I originally got to take 2 of these soaps, this is the lavender rosemary, also will take the little dome with a couple of snowflakes in it or a couple of shampoo bars in it. So that's, I think, a very nice package. By the time I put this shred in there and everything, it'll make a nice package. So Jody's saying, needless to say, I would love to see the process with all the spare time that you have, like 3 minutes a week. Yeah, and obviously when I record it, it takes a lot of time. When I say it takes a lot of time, because I got to set the camera up and make sure everything's hunky-dory and everything. But I think it would be fun to do one. And maybe I would do one that doesn't take 7 layers. Yeah, Jody's saying don't stress yourself out there, especially starting the new meds. No, I think I will give myself a couple of weeks to see how the meds hit me or not before I decide that. Anyway, so I like the snow idea on the domes. So I will make sure I take a picture of that and send it to Wade so he can see it was a great idea. It is said that courage is feeling the fear and doing it anyway. In other words, courage is not about that you don't have fear. Courage is that you do feel fear like everybody else and that you do something anyway. Oprah said that, by the way. And I thought it was so cute. Yvonne and Wade gave me a gift card for Amazon. And Yvonne said, have fun with your next experiment. You see, I think that is so typical of Yvonne and Wade. They know that my money will not go on buying myself necessarily a new top or a new pair of pants or whatever. It'll go on my next experiment. And to me, the love in that just really touched me. And what I did was I went up to the post box to see, just to make sure there wasn't anything in the post box. And I took some soaps with me and I left them for the ladies who deal with the post office stuff there. And, it's so funny because, they were serving other people and they just came to a grinding halt when they saw me. And I went, hi, I'm leaving this here, share it amongst you. Don't fight over them, just share them. And left, and thank you. And then I apologized to the clients that everything came to a grinding halt because DearMamaSal had arrived. I'm very fortunate that they love me the way that they do, and it's why I keep my post office box where I used to live, not just up the road where I live here. So Nelson Mandela said, um, that he learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but to triumph over it. The brave man is not one who does not feel afraid. A brave man is one who conquers that fear. So I think about those of you, I'm certain, for example, Jeannie, when you lost York, that sounds terrible. It sounds like you were absent minded. When York passed, I am certain there were moments when you feared whether you'd be able to cope without him, because you'd been with him for so long and, you'd done so much as a couple. And yet, look at you, a year later, or nearly a year later, I would think, how much you've done and how much you've proved to yourself how incredibly courageous you are. And and I think that's really important, really important. Oh, there was another question I had for you guys. Hold on one second. Yeah. The question that I have is, before I get too far into sea breeze, this is the sea breeze and it has the foam on the top. Okay. And Yvonne said something to me when she saw the one with the seashells on top. She said, "Are you also calling that sea breeze?" And I said, "At the moment, yeah." And I wondered whether we should call this one, let me know what you think, seashore, because it's got the sand and the seashells on it. She sells seashells on the seashore. So I was wondering, should we call these seashore number one? Um, and I would obviously just keep these going up. I'm not going to go back. But, I think that might be a good idea. What do you think? Or do we just, ask whether you'd like it with foam or with seashells on top? Yeah, I like that idea as well. See, that's why I'm saying it's wonderful when you go and talk to people. Yeah, Jeannie is thank you, Jeannie. Jeannie's answering my question about York, and she said, "Thanks, but I miss York every day and night. It's not been easy." I know it hasn't been easy. And you will miss him for the rest of your life because that's what love is. Okay? There's no way that you're going to forget about him or not miss him any more than I'm certain that you think about Misty Moore every day, right? Because she had a really strong place in your heart. So it's not that we forget about people. It is just that the way that they are with you is different. Um, when I had another moment this week where I went to get my um, spaghetti out of the cupboard because I wanted something that was underneath it, and I dropped a whole box of spaghetti all over this kitchen floor, and I just stood there going, "Oops," and I stood there for a while. And my question to you, my viewers, is, what would you do? Right? So you went to get the box out, and the box unfortunately came open, and all that spaghetti fell out all over the floor. So, what would your thinking be, and what would you do? I was talking to Wade and Yvonne about it yesterday, because obviously the air conditioner kicked in, and that's the first time in 4 days. It's humid today. Um, but I found it interesting how they reacted, and and I said, I just wanted to know what other people think and do when it's with something like that. All right, Jeannie's saying, I used to wonder about women who lost their husbands and never married again. Now I totally understand, right? When you've been so happy with somebody, absolutely. Lauren Bacall comes to mind, right? After she lost Bogart, lost again, sounds like that she was forgetful. After Humphrey Bogart died, she never married again. And she was happy. She'd had her happiness, and it was with him. And it didn't mean that she didn't live a full and very meaningful life. It meant that she just chose not to share it with anybody else. Yeah, and Jeannie's saying, why would you try again? Well, I don't know if trying again, maybe for companionship, maybe for, some people, enjoy that companionship. Um, but it doesn't mean you have to get married, right? You can have a companion and live in your own houses and do whatever, but there's no reason you need to get married again. No, I don't think so. But a very personal thing, Jeannie. I think men are more likely to get married again than women these days. Men don't do as well without the other half, if you know. Now, something else I learned this week. And do any of you remember my story about the fact that the gas gauge in my Jeep had broken? And it had broken on full, not on empty. For some reason, it was stuck on full. And it was quite funny because back in July, I was smart enough to go to the gas station and totally fill it up, and then find the trip button, where you can do the mileage for one trip. And I set that to 0. And it was so funny because when I went to go and have dinner last night, when I got there, I thought, I wonder how many, I wasn't too worried because I'd already done the research to find out how many miles or kilometers, can the Jeep do on a full tank, because I knew I had a full tank. And just for the record, my Jeep has a gas tank on it that will actually do about 575 miles or 925K. Between that and about 639 miles and about 1,000K. So I knew as long as I kept it below 800K, I was pretty good. And so when I went to a dinner last night, I sat in the car, and just before I got out of it, I pressed the trip thing to see how many kilometers have I done since the beginning of July. Now, I'm certain that you all will be quite surprised about this. Apparently, I've only done about 150 kilometers, which would be about 100 miles, since the beginning of July, people. And something else magical happened. Because I was no longer fearful of running out of gas, because I knew I got a really big tank and I could get to 800 and not have a problem. Kilometers, not miles. I didn't bother to keep topping up the tank. And, I found out the gas tank thing is working again. So part of me goes, was the whole problem about it being stuck because I wasn't doing enough to move the needle? I wasn't driving it enough to have the needle start to work. It was always absolutely full. Are any of you laughing? Do any of you? It's just like, duh. I don't know if you're laughing, but it was just like, oh, look at that. The needle moved. um, Now, how many of you remember my fancy? Here, hang on. You'll remember my fancy vacuum. And for those of you who don't know, it comes with 1,001 attachments, so it turns into a floor vacuum if I want it, or all sorts of other things. Anyway, so I was using it, and this thing is really clever. If it finds dust, hang on, there's got to be dust here somewhere. I will make some dust then. I will show you how this works. Okay, dust is now here. Watch this turn red. No, it's not going to do it. Okay, on principle, it's not going to do it. Now that really messes my brain. Anyway, what happens is when it finds dust, this turns red and it stays red until it's collected all the dust. Normally, today it's just being, okay, I love you. It's okay. Anyway, so what happened was I turned it on and suddenly this went red and it stayed red. And then I could smell this burning smell. Now, what was the fear? The fear was, I don't know how long I've had this thing, over a year now, I would think. But my fear was that I had somehow or other done something terrible to it. So the first thing I did was take out the filter from this one here, and it's got another filter up here. Took both those filters out and made sure they were clean. Put it all back together again, and guess what? Still went red, still the burning smell. Then I go, and you know how expensive that thing was. So then, actually, no, it wasn't expensive, was it? Because I bought it on my Visa points. Good point. I got it for free. Anyway, so here was the thing. I then didn't panic. I just went one of two things. Either something has got past the filters and is now on the heating element, and each time I turn it on and it starts to heat up, it starts to burn. And that's, and also because there's something there, it's showing red. If that is the case, then if I just keep turning it on every now and then, it will slowly burn whatever that is away. And once that's burnt away, then it should work properly again. Did anybody get my logic? The other thing is that the burning smell is because the component inside is burning and it actually is broken, in which case it will stop working. So I reckon that the experiment would be one way or the other. I was going to find out. The good news is it appears to be working again. But can you understand my fear for that split second? My fancy vacuum, and I've just messed it up somehow. Funny point, when I was having dinner, Yvonne said to me, "Your nails are so white. What are you doing?" And I said, "Yvonne, did you forget I'm dealing with soap every day?" Yeah, right. She just went, good point. um, for those who remember Andre Agassi, the tennis player, he said, what you feel doesn't matter in the end. It's what you do that makes you brave. So here I am on my birthday week, fearful that my panic button won't work when I test it. Fearful that the new medication will be as bad as the first one. And then, oh, I forgot to tell you this, big unpacking coming up. So this is a banquet table. And by the way, it's obviously too heavy. You could tell how I was struggling with it. It's too heavy for me to lift. So how do you move something that is too heavy to lift? And the simple answer is you don't lift it. You just roll, you just step it. So all I've been doing wherever, I didn't do it just now because it's so close, but wherever I wanted to go, I will just walk it there. Does that make sense to everybody? Don't go and, do yourself a mischief. Just walk it wherever you want it to go. Because you can walk it, however heavy it is, it's easy to walk it. Now, the reason I'm going to talk about it, or you can walk it with big steps. The reason I wanted to talk about it is because it's going in my studio. But my studio is full. So I am a bit fearful because in order to do what this is here to do, means I will need to empty my studio of all the boxes that are in it. and there are a lot of boxes in there at the moment. And then put the table in, and then put the boxes underneath the table, or however I decide to do it. Can you imagine? I've got some fear because it's going to take me more than a week to get those boxes under control again. And so, yet again, my house is going to be a nightmare, but I can do that. All right. I know how to get it cleaned up. You just do a little bit every day. But before I can unpack this, I need to make enough room for it into the studio. So, yeah, that's my that's my work this week. And I'm pretty sure that some of you will want before and after pictures of it, uh, which will embarrass me, but it's what's going to happen. So, my hope for you is that you understand we all are doing things that are scary. We're all doing things that we're not sure if they're going to work. You know, I've put a lot of time. I was saying to Jody, the amount of time that I've put into the website, quite honestly, would be difficult for you to even imagine. I've been doing so much work at the back end of that website every day, probably 4 to 5 hours a day. Just and then just to get it where it is, and I've still got to go back to my IT guy because I need something to work that I don't know how to do it. So when it's beyond my pay grade, I hand it over to him. I got about 3/4 of the way there, and then I scared myself because I was exporting all that I've done, and I didn't know where to re-import it to. I couldn't see how to build the unit to import it. So I said to him, you know, build that unit on each of the 3 pages, and then I just bulk import it on each of the pages and nuke what I don't want. I don't need him to do that. I can do that my own way. But it's just like I don't know how to do the bit where it has to go. All right, so Jeannie's saying, even though you have fear for several reasons, you're basically a very strong woman. You will succeed. We believe in your bravery. Well, thank you. And I don't quit easily. I think that is something, Jeannie, that Yvonne always talks about. It may take me a long time, but I don't quit. If it takes me a year, I'll get it working. I'll just go. So Jody's saying, I'm starting physio tomorrow for my leg and back. I don't know if it'll help. I'm most likely put into a fibro flare, but I must try. Yes, you cannot possibly succeed if you don't try. And you cannot possibly fail if you don't try, which is why most people don't even try, because they don't want to fail. So, Jody, you're a smart cookie. I know that. I've known you a long time. You're a smart cookie. So, what are the chances that it will cause a fibro flare? And for those who don't know what fibro is, that's fibromyalgia, which is very painful. And I'm pretty sure that your physio knows that you suffer from fibro as well. So this is what I call a joint. It requires an executive meeting before that physio even starts on you. All right. Jody said, what I learned about Sal within a month of knowing her, she will not give up or give in. Yeah, I might delay things, but I don't give up on them. They're still in my daytimer. I keep waiting for the next bit of inspiration on things. All right, so Jody's saying there's about a 75% chance that it will start a flare. How often will you need to do the physio? But here's the other thing. What will the physio bring you that it's worth taking that 75% chance? Because obviously it's worth it to you because you're going to take the chance. So it's not a case of if, but when, is what I'm hearing. You see, this is the whole thing, that sometimes the devil you know is better than the devil you don't know. And so therefore, if Jody doesn't exercise her legs, and if she doesn't exercise her back, all right, um, then she is not going to be able to walk. And that's pretty important, right? Jody's saying, I'm choosing once a week to strengthen my leg that is recovering from drop foot and improve mobility. Yeah. I want to tell you that, you have got the ability to do that, um, because you've got your Billy the Bike thing. I don't know what you call yours. But, and obviously, you are not doing that as regularly. All right. Because you don't need your foot to be working well for it to work, because you've got one of those automated ones. So do you need support in that? That not only will you do the physio, but once a week or twice a week, you will also do the exercise that your circulation needs. I've actually started changing my thinking about that, Jody. And that is, I haven't done as many steps this week as I wanted to. But I realized that, I've got all the excuses in the world, and that doesn't help me. It doesn't get me fit. So what I've decided is that in the evenings, I am going to do 10 minutes of every hour when I'm binge watching. Because 10 minutes, it's easy enough to do. Yep. So Jody said, I haven't been consistent with it lately. Yes, that's the plan. In office once a week. Oh, you will go to them once a week and twice at home. They will come to you at home, or you will do it yourself? So that's a lot of exercise, and that's 3 times 75 percent chances, right? So it's pretty likely that you will have a flare up because of it. So my question is, when you get a fibro flare, how long does it take to dissipate? So, and for those of you who don't know, that's what happens. It's like getting the flu, but it's pain. And you will have it for so long, and then it, sort of works its way out of the body. So, yeah, Jody's saying that she will do the exercise herself, but her doctor offered to write an order for them to come to her house. Yep. I think that's probably, you're at a stage where I think you deserve that, Jody. Because then it will be done. If somebody's coming to your house to do it, it will be done. Yeah, and that's what I thought. Jody's saying that her fibro flare can last anywhere from a couple of days to a week. So if each time she exercises, it's going to cause a flare. Was that happening before? Because you used to be doing well with that exercise machine. Yeah, that's my concern. Is I can't remember it causing flares for you before, because you were just doing it while you were watching television. And that's what I'm going back to doing. It's as soon as I stop working and start binge watching, then I go over to Billy the Bike and go, okay, let me just sit here for a while. Even if it's for 10 minutes is what I'm saying. Let me go there. Just top it up. And I haven't got my phone with me here, but, um, I did not do as much exercise as I wanted last week. Let me see what I did do rather than what I didn't. Yeah. Let me get my phone. And the reason I want to talk about that is I would like you guys to support me in doing this better, if you wouldn't mind. Okay, so yeah, last week I did about 10,000 steps less than I would want to. So, uh, the 34,000. Yeah, I did about 5,000 steps a day. Ah, hi there, Chloe. You're soon to be a first time mommy, and you'd like my advice. What would you like my advice on? What to do about being a first time mommy? You're talking to the wrong person. I'm sad to tell you that I was never able to have children. So I don't have that experience. No, it's okay. Um, but what I can do is tell you how important it is to get as much sleep as you possibly can before the day, because you're not going to get any afterwards for quite a while. So, really get a lot of sleep in these last few weeks. And then the other thing I would tell you, and this is from knowing a lot of people who've been through this, is do make sure you keep to a routine. All right. Make sure that regardless of how much the baby demands of your time, make sure you look after you, because it's going to be absolutely overwhelming how much work. Do you have a husband in the picture or a significant other? And I'm not presuming that you do, because a lot of people don't. Um, but what I would suggest is that if you do, let me get the answer to that before I say anything else. And let me get the people who are in the room at the moment to give you their input. And they have 4 kids. Wow, that's great. Yeah, Julie's saying her granddaughter is going to bed at 7 p.m. because the baby needs feedings during the night. So you got tons of help. That's good. All right. So the main thing is to know that life as you know it is about to change completely, and will do for the next 18 to 30 years, and maybe longer. Um, but the whole point that Jeannie is making is you need to get enough sleep, and that will mean getting to bed a lot earlier so that you get a chance to sleep. Because that baby is going to wake you up during the night, especially in the first few months. And you are not, and then you're going to be sitting trying to feed it, and won't always want to feed, and it'll be keeping you up when you don't need it. Yeah, that baby is so tiny, but it's getting nourishment. Yeah. So what we're saying here is make sure you look after your needs. You probably would much rather binge watch something than sleep, but your sleep pattern, as you know it, is about to change dramatically. How much sleep do you normally get? Now, it's not that you can't deal with less sleep, you can. And I always think whenever I don't get enough, you get about 8 or 9 hours of sleep. Yeah, I track mine as well. All right, so, but I've got Jody in the room here with you, and she will tell you that she doesn't sleep more than 3 to 4. On a good day, she'll sleep 5 hours. All right, because if she's sick, she has illnesses. So, do you understand that even though you might get less sleep, it doesn't mean that you're going to have big problems. It just means be aware that you're not going to be quite as patient as you might want to be. And when you've got a new baby, that's going to be problematic for you. But you need to look after, eat more healthily, um, so that you're not getting sugar rushes up and down and all sorts of other things. So I would say that, quite honestly, looking after you as well as looking after your baby, obviously, is your number one concern. But then after that, looking after you. Yeah, you're aware that you're not going to be able to have as much patience, yes. And the quality of sleep matters even more than quantity, yes. I always say that there are nights when I can track that I've had 6 hours sleep, but none of it was deep. All right. And Jody will know that if I get an hour of deep sleep, I go, boy, that was a good night's sleep. All right. So what we want you to do is to make sure that you keep track of that. Do you have a Fitbit or something similar, a tracker of some sort? I gather that you probably do. The other thing that everybody has, everybody I've talked to about this, the other thing that is mind blowing is how quickly they grow. And 1 minute they are totally dependent on you, and you wonder whether you're ever going to be able to do all of this, all right, and look after them. And I'm glad you've got a lot of help. That's going to be your first problem. Then you'll get into a routine, and then you'll think, yeah, is this baby ever going to grow up? But the thing that I hear so much is, boy, they grow up so quickly. And I'm thinking, 10 years ago, Juliana was born, and she's 10 now. It's just like, that was like in a heartbeat. All right. She's never going to be a cute little baby again. She's cute as a 10-year-old. But you understand, it's very different. There is a saying, the days are long, but the years are short. Yes, Jody, what a great expression. And document it. All right. When I say document it, make sure you take those happy snaps. And, even if they're unhappy snaps, take them, because this day is never coming back again, right? Every day, it really makes you realize how important every day is. All right, so she's saying, that's so true. I'm going to have a boy, and I've heard that they feed and get more hungry more. So I will be up more. I want to tell you that I'm not 100% sure that that is true, but I will presume that you got that from a reputable source. Um, Basically, it's a baby. Yeah, you're saying, I know I'm going to take so many pics during the pregnancy, I've had to up my storage. Yes. And of course, but that's all about you. And now, all right, Jeannie's saying, since she got her dog Stella, she slept a lot better, except when she kicks you. Yeah, my dog used to kick me as well. Used to kick me out of bed. Oh, so, all right, OBGYN told you. Okay, so that's interesting. I've never heard that before, quite honestly, but I'm not going to argue it. Probably they know more than I do. In fact, I'm sure that they know more than I do on that issue. So the main thing is you need lots of support. And I would say, and I'm biased, I know, but I would say you might want to come back here and talk to us. And talk to us, in all honesty, like you're losing your cool, or, have that space, know that we are here for that sort of discussion. And that's a very important one. It's very important to have somewhere where you can tell the truth, because you're probably going to pretend a lot to the family that you're coping beautifully. And then you may need to come in here and go, yeah, actually not so much. Because that brings you balance when you can, open up about that sort of thing. And I want you to remember one thing. You are not the first mother. There have been quite a few before you. And anything that you experience, you need to know they did too. Do you know what I mean? Because you probably are nearly going to drop the baby. And guess what? You're not the first one. You're you're probably going to accidentally dump it in the water, and then you have to remember, well, hang on a second, it just lived 9 months in water. But it's going to be all sorts of little things that and I need you to get a sense of humor about it. All right. So Red Bull's saying, yeah, it's true. I'm the kind of person that doesn't show emotion or doesn't show that I'm struggling or that I need help. So if ever I need to vent, I will come here and definitely come. Yeah, I would be delighted that you do that, and I would recommend it. So we actually, during the summer, this will carry on until about the middle of September, we broadcast, and you might want to write this down. Where are you? What part of the world are you in, and what time zone are you in? Actually, just tell me the time zone. That's really the important one. Because we are broadcasting twice a week at the moment. We normally do 3 times, but and you just need to go to type in DearMamaSal.com, or yeah, or even DearMamaSal into YouTube. It will take you to my site, and that will tell you that there's always something up there that tells you when my broadcast times are. You're in Central. Okay. So that I think Central is 1 or 2 hours ahead of me. Two, I think. What time is it with you now? Is it 7:15? Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, so you see, I'm getting good at this. Um, so we broadcast at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a Friday, and then in the winter, fall and winter and spring, we do another one at 9 o'clock your time in the evening. And then on Sundays we do this broadcast, and that starts at 3:30 and runs until I've had enough, which will be any minute now. But you understand. So, but if ever you're going, I need to vent. I want you to make sure that you know that you can contact me. Okay. At the moment, until September the 15th, we're going to be doing twice a week. Friday lunchtime, my time, and I'm on Pacific time, so 2 hours behind you, which will be 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Friday for you. And then I also broadcast at this time, which was 5:30 your time on a Sunday. All right, so you need to know those. But if you forget because you're human and you've got a lot on your mind, just make sure you go to Dear Mama Sal on YouTube, and it'll show you a goodie, and it'll tell you when I'm broadcasting. Yeah. And we on Fridays we talk about coping with feelings, and you're going to have lots of feelings that we'll be delighted to discuss with you. All right, because that's the whole thing. Everybody brings another subject that we need to discuss. All right. And by Friday, Jody is going to have probably have a serious fibromyalgia flare going on. So she's going to have a lot of feelings coming up. Like, why the did I do this? But she also knows that if she doesn't do it, she's going to lose the use of her legs. And therefore, she needs to do it. And by then, I'll find out whether I totally destroyed my expensive panic button. Yeah. So, Red Bull, take it easy. And just, we hope you come back. But if you don't, you do know you're welcome back anytime. Do you understand? You don't have to qualify. Jody will make a note and put it in our database so that, we will know who you are and that you're about to be pregnant. Yeah, you're about to give birth to a baby boy. And so when is your due date now? Yeah, Red Bull saying, this is probably my last 2 weeks, all right, since my body is more progressed. Part of me thinks that I won't have feelings or need to vent. And part of me thinks, yes, I will. Oh, yeah, it's Chloe. Yeah. Um, She's saying my name is Chloe. I hope that's my name. Yeah, you know something? I love that sense of humor. Yeah, you're not quite sure anymore, right? Um, and do we have a name for your baby boy yet? Because if so, we'd like to have it in our database. Oh, 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 interesting. All right, I'm not going to advertise it. Okay, got it. All right, so your first two names are those that you're putting up, Chloe. All right, got it. I just don't want to give too much information out publicly, um, because we don't know who's listening. He will be Logan. What a pretty name. I love that. Do you have Scottish background? I think that comes from the Scots, doesn't it? Maybe not. You would know because you've done the research. Logan's a great name. I love it. I approve. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and you're very American, but I wondered whether so you don't have any of the Scots in your background. Okay. Well, we definitely love the name, and we love meeting you, and we look forward to seeing you back again if you choose. But the important thing that I want you to know, Chloe, is if you don't decide to come back and in about 3 weeks you think I'm going insane, I need to tell somebody what's going on, we're here. Yeah, I think it's a great name. I really do. I love the name. All right, peeps. So I'm out of here. Nice meeting you, Chloe, and we look forward to seeing you back. And to the rest of you, let's just remember about this fear thing. You don't have to deal with all your fears this week, okay? As Jody will tell you, she's been dealing with non-stop news that gave her non-stop fear for how many years now, Jody? And somehow she just keeps battling on for another day, another week, another month, and has done a great job of it. It's very interesting that my cancer mentor that I got in touch with, when I got cancer, um, it's the table is turned, and now I am being her mentor because she's had more bad news on a number of levels. She's a bit like Jody, it's just like how many things is she going to have? Um, so this is like, we all take turns in supporting one another. And Chloe, there are going to be times when you will be supporting us, and we'd be very thankful for that. Remember, it's okay to be frightened. Remember, it's okay to not know what you're doing. Remember that we all have those moments, regardless of how clever we are, and regardless of how old we are, and regardless of anything. We all have those moments. Oh, Jeannie, while you're on, just before I go, I saw that you made a comment about the fact that the shipping is expensive for the um, soaps. You do know that's not my choice, right? That just is. Do you know an amazing thing? And I've said this a couple of times. It costs me more to ship to Pat in East Canada than it does to ship to Lauren, who lives in Tasmania, south, this little island south of part of Australia, but south of Australia. It's nearly double just to send to Pat. So I had a choice, which is, how do I do this? Do I make the soap more expensive and offer free shipping? Do you think that would be a better idea, Jeannie? Because then I think people are just going to say, boy, that soap's really expensive. So it's not, I'm not making any profit on the shipping, right? In fact, even my web guy said, at the price that you're charging, you're probably going to take a loss on the shipping. And I said, well, let me see how it goes. Let me see what the average is. And if I, after a few months, find that I am making a loss, then maybe that needs to go up a bit more. But I said, first, let me see, because I think it will average itself out to some degree. Okay, so that's an interesting thing. You're saying up the price of the soap a bit and bring the price of the shipping down a bit. That's actually, I never thought of that. So, but just how much are you going to pay for a bar of soap? What will your recommendation be? This is definitely my favorite. So good to see you, Chloe. Thank you for being here. All right, so Jeannie, what would your recommendation be? But do you also know that if you buy two of these, you're only going to pay that one shipping? You're not going to pay two lots of it, just one. If you buy six of these, it's still going to be the one shipping price. Are you aware of that? Yeah. Actually, that's interesting. Wade said the same thing. Said, I think Wade said, you don't create soap, Sal, you create art. So, and people are making, regular bars of soap, no effort. He said, you can tell that what you do with your soap is you spend a lot of time creating them. And I go, yep, I do. Um, so yeah, okay. Well, maybe I will take comfort in the words that you used. Practical art from the heart. How about that? That's beautiful. Practical art. Yeah, I think that's really nice. Thank you. So I think that as we go along here, we'll see how it goes. But what would you think would be an acceptable amount for shipping then, Jeannie? Where you go, fair enough. It means I got to go back to the database and change everything. But if you really think that's a better idea, I'm prepared to listen to you on that. How much would you say, remembering that it's a one-time shipping cost? So if you buy one or two or three, it's still that one price. The average that I'm paying, well, that's what I'm telling you. I'm telling you that the average price is around um, 10 to 12. But it's not what it costs me, it's what would sound, you're saying it's expensive. So what would sound reasonable to you? That's what I'm trying to find out. And even if you want to give that some thought and come back to me on that one, I'd be appreciative. But I'd never thought about putting up the price of the soap a bit, you know. So I don't know. I'm not 100% sure because I'm looking at what other people are selling soaps for. So I don't think there's a lot of room there. But maybe 10 to $10 for shipping sounds okay. Okay, so then up the price of the soap by a couple and drop the price of the shipping by a couple. I can do that. That I can do within the week. Jody, what do you think? Tell Pat she's not getting too many parcels from me. Actually, it was really cute, and I want to say this because Pat sent me a note and said that she felt badly because, she hadn't been in touch recently. And I said, Pat, I don't know if you know this, but we have a bond so deep that you not talking to me for the next 5 years wouldn't erase the memory. I said, you are deep in my heart, and therefore, it's like you not talking to me for a while doesn't lessen the fact that I feel so deeply about you. Do any of you relate to what I'm saying? It's like she's part of my family, whether she likes it or not. You know something, Jeannie? I was saying to Jody yesterday, it's interesting that dragonfly soap, people really like that. What will happen is I will try and highlight a soap a week. All right, because people definitely like the look of the dragonfly soap. The thing is, will people buy the dragonfly soap? Right, that I don't know. So they like the look of it and they love looking at it, because I can see that from the number of views already. And you like the, yeah, it's funny that you say that about the bees. What Wade said to me, and I thought that was really so kind of him. He said, Sal, everything that you're doing demonstrates how much time and effort you spent in marketing and how much time and effort you've put into the design of what you are producing. Because he said, you look at it and you'd think that, you wouldn't think that you did this on your own, sort of thing. Because he said the packaging is, you've obviously spent a lot of time and effort thinking about the packaging. And he also loves the honey, the bee one. So I'm just actually getting ready. I have the soaps waiting. This week I will be doing more of the beeswax ones. The sort of rosemary, honey, and beeswax. So there you go. Thank you. So thanks for the input, Jeannie. And all we can do is try. And so I will take the time. I will block off a big space of time and go through the database, drop everything. And what we'll do is we'll call it an introductory price. All right? Because I may need to put it back. And that the shipping, yeah. And then the shipping we'll see, we'll give it a while and see how many orders I get across Canada that I'm gonna get a loss on, as opposed to maybe the States or Australia. All right, and that's what we don't know until we start working on this. The good news is, if soap is just soap, I don't have to pay any customs duty on it. Isn't that interesting? I didn't realize that. It's like the villages are paper, and I don't have to pay any customs on it because it's paper. And the soap, as long as I'm not advertising it that it has medicinal purposes of any sort or cosmetic things, as long as I just call it handmade soap, I don't have to pay duty on it. So that's really good. So people are saving that. All right. So thank you for the input. I appreciate it. Keep the ideas coming. And Jeannie, I think that you are due to pick your own bar, if you know what I mean. I'm giving people the opportunity to sort of create what they think they would like to see, and then I will name it after them. So I don't know if you've been seeing that, where we're beginning to change the names of the soaps. So we got a Manon bar, and we've got a Siora bar, and we've got a Jody bar at the moment. So, and we've got a Kesbar, which is going to be coming up soon. So think about what, if you could pick your own soap with your own fragrance, let me know what it would be. And then the next one I make, I will then rename that soap. Okay. This is DearMamaSal saying, isn't this fun? And thank you for the birthday wishes. Yep, I am certain that it will be a very busy day, but not for the reasons that most people would be busy on their birthday. And pray, please, for those of you who pray, pray that this new drug does not affect me the way the old one did, and I will be a very happy camper. Jody, all the best. I'll be in touch with you, obviously, all through the week, Jody, but all the best for the physio, and just do what you can and know that you need it so that you can stay mobile. That's, I think, mobility is going to be your number one priority in the coming year. This is Dear Mama Sal saying thanks for being here. Thanks for your great ideas. And we will see you on Friday. Thanks for being here, Jody and Jeannie. Thanks for the support in terms of being admins. And we will see you on Friday. Bye bye for now.